box of clutter from my grandmother. And I've got lots of stuff to go through here. This is a neat little thing. It's like, is it like a pocket watch or something? How do I even get it open? Oh, who knew? I wonder if it's real silver. Let me see. Is it real silver? I don't know. I just really like it. You know, sometimes somebody else's clutter is another man's treasure. Oh, what else in here? Oh, look at this. I haven't seen this. My grandfather used to wear this like forever. I remember smelling him. Smells like a little 1950s. Oh, look at this. I remember this too. Oh, like I used to play with all this stuff. Frodo lives. Who knew Frodo still lives? Does he really still live? I don't know. Some old coins, probably from his travels. I might want those. Oh, this looks like a letter that maybe he sent my grandmother when he was deployed in the war. Oh, this is going to be an interesting thing. I'm supposed to be decluttering right now, but let me just sort of, wow. Oh my word. Bob, did you know, this is your sister, did you know about grandfather in the World War II? I was just reading over all, oh my word, we've got to talk. Have you ever had a reunion with your clutter? This is exactly what people do. Hi, I'm Lorraine Brock with Get Organized, and I'm here on Tip Tuesday to help you declutter. So a little bit of comical, of course, but it's often true. When clients of ours or even non-clients go into their spaces to declutter, they often can be overwhelmed with memories, things that they plan on taking care of all of a sudden just rabbit trails them to something else. So today on Tip Tuesday, we're going to be talking about decluttering and how not to have a reunion with your clutter. So a little bit about me. I'm the owner of Get Organized. We're a professional organizing company here in the DFW area. We also service East Texas, Tyler, and we have organizers on the ground as well in Oklahoma City. We often have gotten phone calls over the years about decluttering, and this can be a very overwhelming process. And often there's really no plan or process to actually go through it. Many times a lot of family members are involved. And when I say declutter, it doesn't mean obviously there's a need for everybody in your household to get organized or declutter that area. But it could be, and it also could just be you. Maybe you have a house that's very cluttered and overwhelming. You don't know where to start. Or it could be as simple as a craft room or just piles of clutter in a particular room. So when we talk to them, they've often tried to start the process of getting organized. And I always use that analogy of having a reunion with your clutter so they can sort of relate of how much time is truly wasted when it comes to the decluttering process, because they have no real plan. So I don't want you to have a reunion with your clutter in the middle of decluttering. I think there's a time and place for that. And some of these things like reading letters and reminiscing with phone calls with your family about things that you found absolutely are, I think, great opportunity to unearth history. But decluttering and doing that at the same time is going to take forever for you to get through your process and get organized. So I want to tell you some tips that we actually train our organizers with that helps them be able to efficiently go into a client's home and declutter. So as you know, Tip Tuesday is all about tips. So today I need you to get a piece of paper and pencil out or use an app on your phone because there's going to be lots of note taking. Whether, again, you're organizing a small space or you're trying to organize an entire home, normally involves decluttering. So we want to make sure that we give you a very specific way to do it that will help. Now, if you're working with large people, large groups of people, family or friends, helping you do this, there needs to be one person in charge. They need to set up the system and then tell everybody else what that system is so they can follow suit. If everybody has their own system and their own process of decluttering, it's going to be very disorganized, and you're probably going to have to redo things that you wouldn't otherwise not have to do if you were all on the same page. So let's get started. Now, one of the things I want you to do on your paper or your app is to write out the word space. So it's going to be S-P-A-C-E. And when I say declutter, this is a great word to remember that we're going to have an acronym to go with this so you can see what we're doing. So, for example, the first letter in space is going to stand for sort. Now, most of the time when we're sorting, you could have piles of stuff on the floor, and absolutely that's something you can do, but it's not efficient for moving piles around. You got to pick up everything and put it in something or scoot it over. So what I'd like you to do is start out with about a dozen size banker boxes. It can absolutely be larger depending on the ability for you to lift, but what I'd probably maybe even laundry basket size. You could do a large box, but remember, when clutter gets filled into the large box, it's going to become often heavy and you're not going to be able to move it, or maybe yet somebody else that's helping you may not be able to move it. So we want to make sure that we are getting boxes that are going to be manageable for us to do our project. So get about a dozen size banker boxes, and those boxes can go out. I prefer them to go out of the room in which you're decluttering, not necessarily in the room. Now, can you put them in the room? Absolutely. But those rooms are often already cluttered, and we're trying to add another dozen boxes in there, and there's just usually not enough room. So I tend to like to find a hallway right outside that room that I can put those, or maybe there's another room off to the side that's easily accessible that you can put those boxes. So get about a dozen size boxes, and those boxes are going to represent categories. So in the decluttering process, the very first step that you do is sort. Now remember, when we first started our Tip Tuesday today, I gave you a little bit sort of comical way that people sort of go through their clutter. They take a box of clutter and they start looking at things they haven't seen in 20, 30, 40 years, maybe even a year. And they start associating it with memories and things that they remember, or, oh, I've been looking for that and I need to call someone and let them know I found it. Well, that's what we want to avoid, because what that does is it takes us a different direction on reminiscing and not really sticking to the decluttering process. So the first thing we want to do is, whenever you pick a room that you want, is to go in there and you're going to sort that room. Now, those boxes, those dozen boxes, are for sorting, and every box can be a different category. For example, you may have a dozen boxes in a hallway, and you may have one box is designated as electronics, another box is designated as paper clutter that you find, another box designated as office supplies. I don't want you to be very specific about, oh, here's the pens in this office box, and here's the notepads. That's too specific. In fact, you won't even get through a dozen boxes just with office supplies. So we want to keep the categories very general. We want to do office supplies with office supplies, do maybe home decor, and papers and so forth. And as you go through things and start decluttering a box or a drawer or a closet, you're going to make those categories up as you go. Now, if there's multiple people working with you, I would highly suggest that you label the boxes so they know the categories that are there. They're not always, to someone that's new at this, it's not always, you can't always see what's in the box and really decide, well, what category is that? So once you start sorting, you will often have multiple boxes of the same thing. Electronic items are often one of the boxes that we see a lot of cords, adapters, chargers that just seem to fill up, and then there's a second box of that, and that's okay. You can have multiple boxes of the same category, and you might need more boxes for sorting. But normally, as you are taking boxes and you are taking things like a magnifying glass, might put this, depending on where I wanted it, I could put it in with office, I could put it in with bathroom, because you sort of know, as you tend to need reading glasses, you sort of know how these are used and what rooms they might be used in. I might take something that's old cologne and immediately say it's trash. Now, if you see trash and you know it's trash in a candy bar wrapper, absolutely go ahead and throw that in the trash. That would be a sorting area. Is that your trash bag? Or if you have something like this, like a pocket watch, I might make a category just for jewelry or things like that. It can be both men and women's jewelry. It doesn't really matter. So anyway, make your categories. So when you're sorting, you want to clear out everything. Don't just think about just the clutter on the floor or the clutter on a bookshelf. Think of drawers, nooks, crannies, under the bed. Your job is to sort that entire room so you can make better decisions about what you want to keep. So sorting is your first step. So your second letter in space is P, and P stands for purge. So purge is where really the emotional part can come in. And you want to start often, if you're dealing with someone that's older and you're working with your parents on this, you want to do it in a place where they can sit down and be comfortable and put some additional boxes around them for them to do a second sort. And we'll talk about that in a second. So the purging is where you decide what you want to keep and what you don't. Now, when we've sorted everything, it's easier to make decisions on the purging because you know how much of something you have. It's very difficult to decide to keep that particular notepad or backpack if you don't realize you have 4, 5, 6, or a dozen others similar to them. So when you know what you have, the sorting, then you can go and make the purging a little easier. Often we see a lot of notepads in clients' homes. Maybe they've gone to the fair or they've been free giveaways at home shows or wherever. And these notepads are free. They're obviously useful. I even have them. But over time, as you're not using them as fast as you're gathering them, you can easily have a box of 40 notepads we've seen in some homes. And it's a little bit easier for you to purge half of them if you know how much you have. So don't try to go in and touch an item and say, do I want this? Do I not? Sort first and then purge. So here's some boundaries that I say on the purging side. If you are not going to use the item, physically use it. For example, if you get a Thanksgiving platter that you have and you're not going to use it for Thanksgiving, it's clearly for the fall, then you're not going to use it, or you're not going to display it. Or am I going to, you can take a platter and put it up on the wall and make it part of your home decor. So if I'm not going to use it and I'm not going to display it, the third thing is my family or my children going to want it? So depending on the age of your children, they may have interest in some of the items that you have. They may not. I've taken things from my home now, and I still have a few college students at home that I know that they're not ready for some of this stuff, but they have expressed interest, or I think maybe one of them is a little bit more sentimental than the other, so I'll reserve and hold that back. But as my children get into, when they get into their 40s and they're establishing their family, am I really going to want to keep it if they don't want it? Now, I know for us parents, it can sting a lot when things that we hold dear and precious that our adult children do not want. So I think it's important to keep that just awareness that your adult children are not going to want everything that you value. And it's okay to find somebody else that you can bless that with. So the purging. Again, if you can't display it, you can't use it, your adult children are not going to want it. The fourth thing would be, is it something that is going to be something like a keepsake, an heirloom, something that maybe war records or medals from the war, or something that is feasible to maybe put in a keepsake box. I always loved seeing my mom's grade school report cards, where some people would like, I don't want that. I love seeing my mother's grade school report cards. It can easily be stored. It doesn't take up a lot of room. So you just have to make decisions about what really represents a keepsake and an heirloom versus just something that you want and no one else will, and it's clutter. So that is P for purge. And when I talk about a second sort, I mentioned that a while ago. When you get a box, let's say this box right here is full of office supplies, and maybe it's time now to go ahead and start the purging. I would get a couple other boxes or bags potentially around me. For example, I may have a bag for trash. I may have a box for donate, things that I'm not going to keep. Or I may have a box for a library or a church group that I'm donating some things to for a sale. Or maybe there's a couple boxes for my adult children. There can be some things around your work circle that you put additional boxes around to make that sorting process. So whatever's left in the box once you're done purging is things that's going to go back into that space that you're currently decluttering. That is the easiest way to be able to declutter and see what you have, is to sort like that, and then whatever you end up with stays in that box to eventually go back in that space. Or you may say, well, I'm no longer keeping the office supplies in this area any longer. Where is it going to go? So maybe this box is now going into a different room, and that can go to a room until you actually get to that room. So I really like that idea about the purging and then the sorting again around you. So the next one is a sign. And a sign, I always think of a kindergarten classroom. I grew up in the Garland ISD, and when I was in kindergarten, we had zones in the kindergarten classroom. We actually had a kitchen zone. I remember playing kitchen, totally loved it. A block zone. I would get in there and just build things. There's a reading zone and a painting zone. So when your space is all decluttered, and you're actually ready to put the things back into that space, you've wiped down the shelves, you've vacuumed or swept, you've cleaned the baseboards, it's really like a clean canvas. And as an organizer, now I get to take all those things in the boxes that I have decided to keep, and now I'm going to put back into that space. And it's sort of like a puzzle. I might assign a station in my kitchen for a coffee area, or a hardware drawer, or where my lunch zone is for preparing lunches. There's a vast different categories of assigning that you can go to depending on what your family does, their habits, their tendencies, the activities and hobbies that you're interested in. So when that room is completely decluttered, go in and look and decide on where you're going to assign homes to the things you're going to put back. And think of zones, assigning a home to zones. Once you've assigned a home to these zones that you're going to create, the next thing is to do C, which is containerize. So containerize is really the fun part, actually. It is taking all types of organizing products, whether they have a lid on them or not, to take them and put your products, the items that you're keeping, in something or on something. It could be a spice shelf, and that is a container. It doesn't close them off, but you put the spices on it and they could be stacked, elevated in your kitchen cupboards. So you want to containerize things. And containerizing things not only makes things look awesome, but it also maximizes space, because you're just not setting that one bottle on the shelf and losing all the space above it. You're actually setting up products that will help maximize your space. And this is really good where the organizers that work for me actually come in. They actually are excellent at maximizing space, and they know what products are on the market based on your budget and the look that you want. and they recommend products, which I think is it's just fabulous for somebody else to tell you what you need. And then they suggest the products for your space. But if you're going out and doing it, make sure you take pictures of your space. Make sure you measure your space. Everything from where the height of the ceiling is to where the light switch is or the electrical cord. All those are very important because when you're space planning that room to put things back, you need to make sure that you know the product that's going to fit back. So containerizing. This probably means for quite a few of you guys that you're going to have a shopping day, and you probably will be very happy with that. I know I would be. So some of the great places to shop, we're going to talk about that another day. It's a whole another Tip Tuesday. Some organizers, we have secret places sometimes. They're not really secret, but anyway. So containerizing. So when you're putting things back in those assigned places, make sure you containerize things. A hanger that we talked about last week on Tip Tuesday, that could be containerizing for clothes that you're hanging. So, all right, the last one is evaluate. And for you guys, this really means to evaluate your space once it's organized. If you start seeing things left out, not put up in the correct places, maybe you need to change where the location of that is. And I know a lot of people don't like certain things setting out, but you have to decide if you're wanting function first or you want looks first, because looks won't get you function. But often we can make things function really well and still look awesome. So maybe you need to move something. Maybe it's not in the right location. Also, lifestyles change. And every household, we even have a lifestyle change. We have a son that's deployed. And so we had a lifestyle change in our home. There was one less person here and things were a little bit different. So when you have people come into your home or come out of your home, or maybe you have a baby or you are becoming an empty nester or you start working from home, the organizing systems that you put in place might need to be reevaluated because your lifestyle, your tendencies and your habits probably are changing, and what you once did to stay organized may need to be tweaked or maybe even completely redone to make sure that they stay organized. So I love being able to reevaluate. Even us organizers, we have to reevaluate things in our life as our family grows and changes. So space, S-P-A-C-E, that is sort, purge, assign, containerize, and evaluate. So that is actually how we go in and we organize a space, or actually say declutter a space. So I want to make sure that you remember that. So rewatch the video on that. And again, don't go and have a reunion with your clutter. I just showed you at the beginning of this video what it looks like to have a reunion with your clutter, and you'll be there all day and not get anything done. If you're calling people excited about what you found after the project's done, or maybe later that evening when you're done for the day, then you can go back and call family and friends and sort of reminisce about all that history and such that you found. So, all right. So now we're going to go into the product that we're going to give away. So because we've been talking about the word space, we're going to be giving away a set of space bags. Makes sense, right? Space bags. Okay. So we're actually going to give this out over the next week between now and October the 22nd, which is next Monday. All those that make comments that they would love to have the space bag, or if the word is space is in your comment, S-P-A-C-E, then you will be entered into the drawing. We'll take all the people that made a comment about space bags or the acronym space. Then we'll draw one person, we'll message them, and then send them out the space bag box. So make sure you leave a comment down below if you want to be entered into this, and we'll make sure you get some more space. Not literally, but like space bags. So, okay. All right. So now we're going to talk about our Tip Tuesday tool. Now, for those that are new to Tip Tuesday, Our Tip Tuesday tool absolutely can be about the topic that we're talking about, which has been decluttering today. Or it could not be. So there's no rhyme or reason. It's just products inside our box, our toolbox here, about the items that we love to use for our clients' homes. Or maybe it's a product that we use for our own home. So I want to show you guys what this is. Okay. So in our Tip Tuesday box, let me get this out. Back here. Okay. So these are very similar, and I'm going to show you. So these are actual drawer organizers, but they're not for the bottoms of your drawer. What these are is they're expandable, and they have a little lip right here on each side. And you take them and you put them over an existing drawer. And what you do, and you can obviously make it to your specifications of your particular drawer, and it goes on the sides and it slides back and forth. So as you slide it, there's things underneath it that's already there, maybe hopefully organized, that you can grab and reach and then move this back and forth. So it really creates additional storage space. Maximizing space. That's what that's the best thing about being an organizer. I love, because I love to create more space in people's homes. So this one's at Container Store. It's called a drawer doubler, and it does say expands here. And this one runs at Container Store $8. So this is a little flimsier than the next one I'm going to show you. So the next one is more of a heavy acrylic, and I really like this one because it reminds me of maybe one that would go in a bathroom drawer, but it absolutely can go in any drawer. And this expands a little bit further. It is a little bit bigger, and you can see that. The price point on this is, it's under $20, but it's definitely more than the other one that was $8. Again, this one's at Container Store, and this has a lot more, a little bit more compartments to it than the other. And I think it's a much more cleaner, crisper look. It's more of a heavy duty. But same thing, you actually put the little edges right here. You actually let them sort of set on a side of a drawer that's already open. And then you can make it to the size you want, and then scoot it back and forth and be able to still get access to down below and create additional storage space on top. So I love these things. They're love drawer organizers. So if you are like overwhelmed with clutter in your home and you are needing a professional organizer, feel free to call Get Organized. We have about 25 organizers on our team, and we can go in and do just a particular room all the way to the entire house. Packing, unpacking, and right now we're actually so excited because we're just starting our fall decorating services, and then we have Christmas decorating coming up really, really soon. So I'm very excited about that. We like making your home look like a winter wonderland. So, all right, so next week, I'm going to like rock your guys' boat here. Next week, I'm going to be doing Facebook Live from Australia. Yeah, I just said it. Flying out tomorrow. And yes, I'm going to keep Tip Tuesday going. Australia. Obviously, we're going to be on a different time zone, so I can't predict exactly when Tip Tuesday will air next Tuesday, but it will air. And I'm hoping, my hope is that I'll be doing it on one of the European trains over there, and being able to share some travel tips with you guys. So it makes sense. Go to Austria. I'm having to get organized myself. I'm going to be sharing some tips with you guys over in Austria. So if I said Australia, it's the wrong one because we're going to where they don't have any kangaroos at, and it's Austria. I will get on the right plane. I promise. I absolutely will. So, well, I'm Lorraine Brock, and I hope you have enjoyed Tip Tuesday. Again, if you are interested in our professional organizing services or our decorating services for the holidays or fall, let us know. Make sure you make comments down below. Remember, we're going to be giving away our space bag this week. So if you make a comment down below, In the comment needs to include the word space in it, or what you liked about our segment today about decluttering. Let us know. So make comments down below, and we will pick a winner and let you know in about a week. And I am so excited. Tips Tuesday all the time. See us next week on Tips Tuesday. And again, guys, don't have a reunion with your clutter. No, don't call people when you're decluttering. Just stay very focused on decluttering. So see you next Tuesday in Austria, guys.